Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Rob Chafe, Bad Cat Amplifiers.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd, Novak, and welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death to be doing this show right now.
Yes.
And we're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show.
Yes.
Chafe.
Yes.
Thought I was missing that, didn't you?
I put it in already.
But it's usually both of us. Hey, everyone, we are really excited for this show. This is a brand that we have all heard of, but maybe we haven't heard enough about. And that's what we're going to dig into tonight. Well, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
My name is John Thompson, and I'm one of the owners of Bad Cat Amps.
And my name is Nick Poppin, and I am on artist relations and media for Bad Cat Amps.
Excellent. Well, you heard it. Bad Cat Amps. We're going to have a great time understanding, digging into, and being told about all kinds of new things that they're doing.
Yes.
And we'll get into that later into the show. Tony, we got one big announcement.
What is that?
Well, we've got all these warm audio pedals we're giving away.
Are they hot or are they warm?
They're hot, but not like stolen. They gave them to us. And by the time you hear this, we will have given away our first one.
We're giving them away one at a time.
One at a time. And that first one went to Steve Keys.
Steve Keys.
Steve Keys, at this point, will have won already the Jet Phaser.
Oh.
Yes. Very, very excited. I wish I could give one of these to all of our supporters, but we only have 7 pedals. So this is, I wish I could just give everything to you guys all the time. Honestly, it makes me happy.
Todd Claus.
Yes. So if you haven't won yet, don't worry. There's a chance. And if you are saying, wait, how do I win this? This is for our Patreon supporters, which we'll tell you about at the end. Or you can just go there right now, patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. We do this stuff all the time, and you should probably jump in. You've been waiting on the edge of the pool. Just get in, okay? All right. That's all I have. We need to find out what's going on in our music worlds this week because we just want to get in the show, and then we got so much to talk about. And we got two. We got two 4 on the floors.
8 on a plate.
8 on a plate. All right. Tony Baloney,
Yes.
Tanya Blonsky.
Yes.
We are going to hear from you first. Tell us what's going on in your music world this week. Then we're going to check in with John Thompson and Nick Poppin.
All right. Well, this week, I've been doing a deep dive into a YouTube channel. The gentleman who has the channel is named Shannon Henspel. And I just kind of stumbled into it.
That sounds like a fake Reddit name or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's the way it is.
I believe you. I'm just saying.
I was doing just some checking for XTC, the band XTC from England. Not other things.
Whatever you do in your
Whatever
personal time
you do.
is
A
your
little old
business.
for Molly, but whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I stumbled across one of the videos for Dave Gregory, who is, I guess, considered the second guitar player of XTC, and I started watching that, and they were talking about. He was showing how he's doing some of the guitar parts that he did, and he says, "Well, you have to ask Andy about the other stuff, in the episodes." And so it turns out there's 2 Dave Gregory videos and 4 Andy Partridge videos.
Wow.
So I've just been I jumped into this. Shannon is apparently he has a PhD in music. His thesis was on, or doctorate was on Frank Zappa. He's like a jazz guitar player, and as I was digging through his
Frank Zappa was many things.
yes,
Oh. Go ahead.
many things to many people. But he one of the cool things, and now that I'm digging in deeper to his channel, I found some very cool. He's obviously an XTC fan too, because before he interviewed Andy and Dave, he was also doing some the essential XTC chords,
Oh, wow.
all the riffs and things like that. And I'm still
Some complicated stuff.
it's beyond my.
Yeah, those guys were like brainiacs.
Andy Partridge was just saying, you're just going to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing on the first Andy Partridge episode, it's kind of a split screen, and he's sitting at his house and being interviewed and has a guitar, and Shannon asks him what he's playing. He says, "Oh, well, this is my Harley Benton." Les Paul style guitar. He says, "I just love it."
That's hilarious.
And he said it was like 110 pounds.
Yes.
So
The old Harvey Benson.
yeah, you gotta love a Harley Benton, or Harvey Benson,
Yes.
or Harlequin,
Yes.
something or other. But anyhow,
The gag that keeps giving.
but check it out. It's a great channel on YouTube. If you can't find his name, just look up Andy Partridge XTC instructions or something.
Got it.
And it's really cool. But I encourage any fan of XTC or any fan of the guitar world
I dig it.
to check it out.
Super duper. Thank you, Tanya. Let's check in with John Thompson.
Yes, sir. Well, what's new in my music world? Two things. I have begun my deep dive and my rediscovery of one of my favorite British bands called the Doves.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar
Oh,
with
yeah.
them.
I'm a huge Brit rock fan, man.
Oh, those guys are fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been going back to the last broadcast. I mean, it's endless, man. They got like 5 or 6 records, and every single one of them is flawless, start to finish. And the other thing that I have finally, after many, many years, just completely given up, and now I have switched to 9s.
Oh,
I have
Oh.
made the jump.
wow.
I
Okay.
have made the jump.
From 10s, I assume.
Yep. I fought it for years. In fact, there was a long time where I was thinking, gosh, I go to 11s. The 10s were starting to feel floppy, and apparently age has finally caught up with me. And I am now. I mean, I pick up a guitar you go into Guitar Center or some music shop, and I pick up a guitar off the shelf. It feels like a 6-string bass.
All right.
So 9s
So,
it is.
Not to mention the fact that, I'm not done. 9s on a Gibson tuned in E flat.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my goodness.
You really have to work at it, but once you get it, it just opens up a whole new world. It's just, the bends, you can really get very precise with them, and
Well, you
it's
ought
just
to
a lot of fun to
you
play
ought to
like that.
consider scalloping the fret or the fretboard on that too, while you're at it.
Yeah, don't listen to Tony.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
What kind of strings do you favor?
I like the OptiWebs, Elixirs. Those are my faves, and I think Diodario makes something called they're a white package with an X on the cover. They're very similar.
They're NY whatever.
Yeah. Yep, those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am like super meticulous about washing my hands before I play, wiping the guitar down. So I mean, I put strings on; they last a year.
Well,
Wow.
don't let
Just-
Tony borrow
they
any
never die.
guitars. He's got salami for hands. It's seriously,
Mostly, yeah.
it's.
Did not. Don't
He's
touch
one of
me.
those
Looks like
guys
a
when you
man
pick it
show.
up and you're just like, how are your hands this
Oh,
oily?
this is grossing me out.
Oily hands.
Well, if you eat the proper amount of meat, you too can have oily hands.
I guess so.
It just seeps out of
I
you.
guess so. Now, John, are you did that to your number 1 guitar? Are you doing that to all of them?
Everything's got 9s. Everything's got 9s now. I mean, there was a couple of guitars I was fighting it, but I just finally gave up. I just said, you know what? No sense of being a hero here. I mean, just make them easy to play.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of cool. Actually, I could tell you about these later, but I've got a couple of cool guitars I ended up with, sort of by accident or
Tell
just
us now.
by being in the right
This
place.
is great.
Well, okay, so I'm friends with the folks over at Heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also good friends with Tim Pierce.
Ah,
Well, Heritage went to Tim and they said, "Hey, well, first off, I got to tell you, Heritage sent us a few guitars that we use for videos and things like that." And a couple times I got a call and they said, "Hey, I noticed you weren't playing the Heritage." And I said, "Well, you put the vintage frets on them. I can't stand the vintage frets. I like the big fat jumbos." And so fast forward a few months later, they're going to build one for Tim Pierce. So Tim picks out this top, gets everything how he wants it. He wants it hollowed out, super lightweight. He wants jumbo frets. And so then they age it just right. They send it to him. He does a video on it. In fact, if you go on his channel, there's a video of him talking about this Heritage guitar that they made for him. And then about a week into it, he said, "Yeah, I think that," he called David up at Heritage and said, I think that neck is just a little too deep. Can you shave it down a bit?" And they said, "Well, it's just easier to build you another one. So can you just send that one to John?" Because he knew I liked the big frets and the big necks.
Nice.
So I ended up with that guitar. And I think it's only one of 3 that they're going to build like that.
Oh, wow.
With the jumbo frets and the big hollowed out body. It weighs under 7 pounds.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it just screamed. Well, Dory Lobo played it at the NAMM show, and he called Heritage, and they're building him one as well. But it's funny, Tim came in Saturday at the NAMM show in January, and he came in. I had it there on the stand, and he looked at it, and I'm like, no, you don't. Oh, get out of here, Tim. No way, man. I got it fair and square, baby.
Yeah.
Get out.
No takebacks. No takebacks.
Yeah, exactly. So that has 9s on it now.
Yeah. Well, and it's got some provenance with Tim Pierce, which is really cool.
Very cool, yeah. And it plays fantastic.
He's pretty good.
Amazing.
He'll do. He'll do.
He should keep at it. He's got a future.
Yeah. When he's around, I put mine down. But no, I don't play. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool, man. So let's see, Nick, what is going on in your music world today?
Well, I think the first thing for me is that my music world poses the question for all of us is, do you ever wish that your guitar played itself? You ever wish that you just played a chord and then your guitar just played forever and did a bunch of cool stuff? Well,
I have not had that wish, but
More of a nightmare.
As bad as I am, I do actually like playing it.
See, I've never thought this. I've never thought this either.
Okay.
But that to be said, my wife got me this pedal called the Microcosm from Hologram Electronics for my birthday. And it does all these crazy pitch effects and arpeggiated notes and things. But if you press the button on the right, which I guess it has some sort of an integrated looper, you can take one chord that you play and it will infinitely play an arpeggiated loop based on the one chord that you played, but then you can play over it. So you can have this beautiful Rush or Genesis style synth loop going on behind what you're playing, coming straight into your signal, or put it in the effects loop of your amp or however you want to do it. And I've just been going absolutely crazy on this thing, creating some really cool loops and soundscapes. But more specifically, there's a producer that I'm working with, and we took all the drum tracks from this song and ran them through this pedal, and made some really cool new drum loops and things like that. And then, it's got an effects loop on the pedal too. So getting to run stuff in between all this stuff that's going on, it poses the question, maybe I could just leave this on for a while and it's my new relaxation Zen spa music or something. Because it's really, it really does something special and that I've never really gotten to experience before, and taken me into a whole new kind of textured world of music outside of just playing guitar.
It actually kind of sounds like, I know you mentioned synth, but that's, like how a synth will operate. It's almost like, what if we took the functionality of a synth but made that for a guitar player?
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's exactly it. I've also run it through, I have a vintage DX7 and a Moog Voyager, and I ran it through that and just did kind of the same thing. And you can layer in between. So you can have, say you play like your D chord and then you want to layer on like the 5 chord or the 4 chord with it. you can do all of that stuff, or play a little lick and it'll take that lick and create an arpeggiated loop over that. So you get this infinite layers of stuff going on, and the pedal is just very smart that it just keeps making stuff, but you can also manipulate it in the meantime while it's all happening. And it's just, it's incredible.
That is nuts.
Well, I feel stupid for making fun of you now.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That is a kind of a neat little toy. Mm-hmm. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah. I just listening to that, it made my head hurt. So many options there. I would get lost in that really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have enough Saturdays in my life to figure that out.
Yeah.
But that's cool that you're doing it, man.
It'll go forever.
Hey, but it looks good on you.
Yeah. Now, are you? I'm hoping you post something about that. Yes? No?
Oh, it's coming.
Okay, good.
It's
All right,
coming.
We'll be on the lookout for that. Hey, speaking of that, posting stuff, guys, before we get any further, where can everybody go to see the things that you're doing, A, at Bad Cat, and then B, Nick, yourself? I know you do a lot of stuff on the side there, too.
So everything I'm doing with Bad Cat can be found over at just the Bad Cat Instagram page at Bad Cat Amps, as well as X, or Twitter as you call it, and as well as Facebook. All the digital media that we're doing right now. I've been on since the NAMM show, kind of doing a lot of that stuff, and having a blast doing it. And then my personal page is just NP_MSC. That stands for music. And I do session work as a guitar player here in Los Angeles, and I'm a mastering engineer and work with producers and engineers and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Super cool. John, anything you want to throw out there for people to lock onto?
I build guitar amps.
Perfect.
It's pretty sad, but yeah, that's kind of what I do. I work in Bad Cat, and then I go home and watch Netflix, pretty much.
Nice.
I do play in I play in a cover band. We do Eagles and Ronstadt stuff, and
oh wow,
That's cool.
and yeah, I mean, my 4 on the floor is going to sound pretty pedestrian, I think, when after that little dissertation.
Well, the people will be the judge of that. We shall see. I'm sure you will surprise us with something that we are not aware of. In the meantime, we're going to check in with Rob. What's going on in your music world there, buddy?
My music world. Well, I sent you guys a text about it, I think on Easter or the day after or whatever. Going down a compressor pedal rabbit hole, trying to find the right one.
Yes.
So, yeah. And it has to be something that has a tone control or a mid controller or blend. That's
The mid control. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Why that?
Because most compressors scoop out the mids. They add a lot of high end, kind of tighten up the low end.
Yeah.
But you lose some mid. And I guess I'm saying this wrong. You don't lose mid. It accentuates the highs.
Okay.
And I'm doing this for like country stuff, bridge pickup.
Right.
And I want to have a pedal that I can click on if I'm doing solos or something where I need to sustain a little more, or just the notes to pop just a little bit, just a little, not like, pumping like country stuff. But yeah, most compressor pedals that don't have a tone controller at all, it's too much high end. It immediately adds in too much high end for me.
I think the country industry is maybe the sole supporter of the compressor pedal.
Compressor.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
A lot. Yeah, I would agree with that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an observation. It's not a knock. I think what you're doing is really cool.
If you're not using a compressor pedal.
The what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Todd's never met a compressor.
A compressor.
I'm just saying, it's not my bag of chips.
So I've got my trusty old Demeter, which I love, but it adds in high end and it's a bit hi-fi sounding. I got a Keeley Compressor Pro, a JHS Pulp and Peel, and a what's the last one? Oh, the Diamond. the new Diamond.
Oh, yeah.
They call it compressor / EQ, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, GHS and Diamond. I think Diamond's going to win.
That's their new upgrade on their Old Faithful. Yeah.
I assume so. I don't know. What company bought them? It's a Canadian company. Just bought Diamond like a year ago.
Cusack? No,
No.
they're not. I don't know.
Was it solid?
Yes.
Cool.
Solid gold. Yep.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All
Yeah. When
right.
Diamond folded, they bought the rights
Yeah.
to everything and relaunched it and put everything into manageable enclosures and,
Got it.
So I don't know what they changed on it because I'm not familiar with the old Diamond version, but this thing, it's great. It's got a mid-range control, a tone control, so you can shape kind of all three bands that way. Of course, compression and volume, and then it's got a rate switch, which is real nice too. Yeah.
Okay.
So it adjusts how quickly it squishes things. And yeah. So it's so far, but the pulp and peel is really cool too. That's actually got a rat distortion built into it.
What? No way. That goes against everything you believe in. What are you talking about?
It's something. I don't for doing cover band stuff or country stuff, I wouldn't use it, but it's got some cool sounds in it.
You know it's there.
It's got some cool stuff, and it's got, in the pulp and peel too. It's got a DI on it, an XLR DI. So it's I don't know what Josh was thinking there, but he put like 3 things all in one. So
Well, that's kind of their MO.
yeah, it's something. So anyways,
very cool. All right. Well, as for me,
yeah, Todd, what about you?
Hey, Todd, what about you?
oh, thanks. We had to replace an oven.
Does it also play songs?
Well, I wish. So we had to replace the oven, but there was like a problem with the gas line or something. So we had to go to the basement and then try to figure out where the gas line's coming in and remove a bunch of tiles and yada, 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 just to secure this thing because the people that were installing it were like, we're not touching it. It's moving around. Okay, fine. Well, it was right above all my guitars.
music stuff.
Of course it was.
All of it.
Of course it
like,
was.
Ugh. So I had to move everything out of the way. And first of all, I don't like people creeping around down there and going like, hey, what's all this stuff? And I took a picture of everything beforehand,
Oh my goodness.
well, it is like tons of pedals and stuff and junk. Anyways, and then but that also gave me an opportunity to kind of like tidy it up a bit. And then I said, after I was doing that, I have everything out. I'm going to just clean house. I had a spring cleaning as it was.
You mean you cleaned all your pedals or?
Well, yeah, just all the stuff. Everything has, like dust and
I
junk.
just see Todd with a little rag. Like,
No, not like that.
Oh, yeah, Q-tips.
yeah, going
No.
little Q-tips.
White glove.
Polishing his pedals.
Yeah, I turned it into a clean room. I did.
You know what he says to his pedals?
great.
You complete me.
Indeed. Well, I had a good time doing it. And while I was doing that, I also reorganized my cables, which in this case included an awful lot of Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
Oh.
I know, and I realized, holy mackerel, I should probably get some more of these. So I did.
Where did you go?
I went to tourgeardesigns.com and I selected all of my stuff.
All your stuff.
All the stuff, all the different lengths.
Thousands of cables.
All kinds, yes. And I needed a couple longer ones, so
Yeah.
I just dug in and going for it.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, these are very low profile, flat cables.
Flat to like a crepe.
Yes. So if you got, you're going from a top to a side, no problem. They got you covered. They got an S-shaped cable.
Yes.
If you're going from top to top, no problem. They got a C-shaped cable. Yes. And they go from everything from 3 to I think like 24 or 72 inch. It's crazy. But the best part is you can get 15% off your purchase.
How?
When you load up your cart, because you will, because they're super affordable.
Yes.
You put in the guitar knobs, all one word, check yourself out, and boom, you're going to be very happy when that package arrives.
Oh, yes, you will.
So thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right, John, Mr. Big Man at Bad Cat. What is your 4 on the floor?
Okay, well, first off, I'm going to start this off with a sort of a Kobayashi Maru move by cheating. And I'm going to put a a snark tuner on my headstock, so I don't need a tuner.
Okay.
All right.
First up, I got to tell you, Rob is walking on my side of the street because I am Mr. Compressor Pedal.
All right.
I leave it on. It's a must-have. If I have 4 pedals, one of them is a compressor.
Okay, I was thinking you were going to have 4 compressor pedals. So
When you really need to compress things.
That's ridiculous. 3's enough.
Yes.
3's enough. But so my favorite compressor I got rid of, and I don't have it anymore. But that would be my first choice. The Carl Martin compressor limiter is spectacular. I love that thing.
Yeah.
What I'm using right now is my Wampler Ego, which I love. It does a great job. Not quite as good as the Carl Martin, but it does the job. My second one, you're probably going to be surprised. It's very un-Nick in that it's very common. But I like the BB Pre.
Oh, yeah.
By
That's
Exotic.
like the country special right there.
Yeah.
And I don't play country. But
No, but that's a really
that
popular
thing pairs
pedal in
with
the
our-
country,
It is.
country set. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it pairs with our Cub amp. I mean, it's just like they were built in the same building at the same time. I mean, it's amazing. And I think my third is a difficult one, but I think I would go with the Strymon Zelza.
The what?
The Strymon Zelza, Zelzah.
I've never heard of that.
And
one.
it's a two-sided. One side has phasers, choruses, envelope filters. The other side will do different kinds of chorusing and phasing. As you might have guessed, I like chorusing and phasing. But it does a great job on that. It was either that or the Lex. I love the Lex.
Wow.
And my fourth choice.
You just
choice.
hit a pedal that we haven't.
Yeah,
like
we've never-
none of us are. I've never even
and
heard
it's
of
never
that
been
pedal.
on. This has never been on the show.
No, it hasn't.
No, and we had them on the show.
Oh,
Wild.
the Zelz is fantastic.
See, I told you were going to surprise us, John.
I'm shocked. I'm surprised. And my last, it's a real close toss-up, but I think I'm going to go with the El Capistan.
Ooh, good choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing is indispensable. It's really good. Now, and if I couldn't have the Capistan, like there was a law against using Strymon pedals, I would probably go with believe it or not, the MXR Echoplex, which I think is really good as well.
Okay.
Real simple, but it does the job. So that's my 4.
Yeah, and with a bonus, that's kind of cool. And here you thought you weren't going to delight us. That's crazy.
We're very delighted.
All right, Nick, you're up.
All
Get
right.
ready.
Well, I'm going to do the same thing as John, and I'm going to throw a tuner on the headstock, except I'm going to use the Polytune headstock tuner because it hides away cleaner, and I'm not that guy with the snark tuner.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy at the gig with the tuner on the headstock, if you know what I mean.
I am that guy.
That's just me. But first in line here, I'm gonna go with the Zvex Instant Lo-Fi Junkie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And man, that thing, talk about compression. It does compression to a whole different level of literally squashing your tone to make it sound like it's a broken record or like a vinyl going way too slow. But man, when you set it at the sweet spots, you can get some really nice twangy country picking stuff, or you can get all the way down into some of that real, slow vinyl speed stuff that's very chorusing, and kind of handles a lot of ground all over the place for, I don't know, just making some cool tones on a record, I guess.
There you go. Hey, is that the old horizontal build or the newer one?
That is the horizontal build. I've got 2 of them, and one of them is actually, shout out to Little Box Effects, because they have like custom colors that they do here and there. And they have like this hand painted one that I got that was a limited edition run, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah. Super
So I guess
cool.
I'd pick that one specifically.
All right.
Second in line, we got to go with my favorite overdrive distortion pedal, which is from Dr. Scientist, and it's called the Elements. And that thing, it just takes your guitar into and it brings out the best characteristics of your guitar and your amplifier from the pedal. It almost makes your guitar sound better and your amp's doing what it wants to do, and this just pushes it there.
I'm super intrigued by this, man.
Well, so what's really the best thing about it is that it's got a wet dry mix knob, so you can go and get the craziest distortion out of the pedal and then mix that with your dry signal and still have your volume and everything where you want it from the pedal, and then just mix in how much of that distortion you want right on the box.
Right.
And there's too many switches on there that I still don't know what they all do, and every time I flip a switch it just sounds better.
I like that. I'm a big fan of little toggles and customization of your.
Some people would call them mini toggles.
Well, mini toggles.
Yeah.
It's just,
And it's got one of those fancy clickless switches on it, so when you click it, you don't hear it.
See,
which is
and it's low.
Kind of, I guess,
this is another big thing, people. So as we've been doing the show, you start to get to understand like, what are people's preferences? One of my preferences is, and this is why, like, I'm a fan of Mr. Keeley, but he puts those switches too dang high up in the pedal, like on the actual pedal face. Mm-hmm. And I've got big feet.
Oh, I see where you're going.
So now it's just, it's like you got all this room at the bottom. Put it towards the bottom. This thing is like it can't go. It would be off the pedal if it was any lower.
Yeah, you can't go any lower with Dr. Scientist. They are at the edge of the canyon there.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this pedal. Very cool.
Oh yeah.
We just got one. They're going to be on the show real soon, and that is from Cosmodio, a new pedal company, and super highly customizable overdrive with lots of the stuff that you were talking about here, even. But obviously, it's a very different thing. But that's the kind of thing, it's like it gets me a little excited. So.
Need some alone time there?
Yeah. Does it have Wii switches on it?
What?
Wii switches?
Wii switches?
Wii tiny switches?
Wii tiny switches. All right. Anyways, next.
Number 3, we're going to go with another distortion drive pedal. And it's a little bittersweet because they just announced that it's been discontinued, but the JHS Superbolt has been something that's been on a pedal board of mine since it came out. And I've got one of the very first original hand-painted JHS Superbolts, version 1, and I think I ordered it the day that they announced the pedal, and I've had it ever since. It's never left my side. It's Old Faithful. I know what it'll do, and I'm a sucker for old Supros and Silvertones and harmonies and all that kind of stuff. And this kind of puts me right at home with anything, and it responds to your pick attack very, very well. So if you want to have it extra distorted, but you clean it up with your fingers, if that makes sense, it just does it. And it stacks well with anything else if you want to do a stacking overdrive kind of thing. And so, number 3 is definitely got to be that Superbolt.
Awesome.
And number 4, to end it off here, I got to go with my favorite delay pedal of all time, which is the Korg SDD 3000 delay pedal version that they did a few years ago. And I'm just the biggest Edge fan, the biggest fan of Daniel Lanois and old studio delay sounds, 2290s, Space Echoes, all that kind of stuff. But when they did this pedal format, the real special thing about the SDD 3000 too is the fact that it's got a preamp in the actual pedal. So you're driving the delay signal, and it's just a really, really good sound.
Yeah.
And the pedal version came in with some modern features, so it's got some other delay types in there with tape delay, and I think they have one called Cosmosis or something.
There's a million switches on this thing.
Exactly. That's kind of my thing. If there's the more switches, the better. And if I can't figure it out, well, it probably sounds good.
You know, it would be really two things I got to add to this. First of all, you what just came to my mind was, you know, the Drake meme where he's like, you know, he's in the orange poofy jacket and he's doing the no and then a yes. Mm-hmm. So up in the top it would say pedals without manuals, and then at the bottom it'd be pedals with manuals. for you, just for you,
just for me.
Yeah. The second thing is, how great would it be if someone came out with one of these complex pedals and just put like all of the like older style microwave settings, you know, like turkey, frozen, thawed, fish, you know,
butter.
Smooth as
number
silk.
3 for an extra 30 seconds of tone.
Yes. Somebody please do that. Please do that. I think that'd be fantastic.
Or just convert a microwave into a giant pedal.
A giant pedal, yes.
There's an optional attachment for it to also be a Lazy Susan.
Oh,
yes.
You can put other pedals on the Lazy Susan.
Yes. Okay, now we've gone too far.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, guys, that was really, really super duper cool. I appreciate you guys sharing that with us.
Lots of new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like that one?
You must have been very impressed there, Tony.
I was. You don't get that sound out of me all the time.
Most importantly, thank goodness, we have Bad Cat Amplifiers on here. How cool is this? Now, we caught you guys at NAMM. You had it in a very, very busy booth. So we didn't get to talk a whole lot, but Nick said, hey, let's get on the show. And we're like, absolutely. So,
yes.
Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Sure.
I am most interested in this because there's so many brands out there that we know, or maybe we think we know, and your brand is something that, at least me personally, I've been very aware of, but I don't know a lot about. And much like, when we had Black Star on, it was like, what is Black Star? Who is Black Star? It just sort of appeared one day at the shelves of like Guitar Center, but nobody, we don't have a personal connection to it. But that's what the show's for. So I'm very anxious to go on this little journey of understanding your brand and everything. Now, John,
I think I can help with that.
Please enlighten me.
Well, okay, so I got to Bad Cat in 2011 in September. Bad Cat was started in 1999, and I only bring this up now because for the longest time I was speaking to the people that were there at the beginning, Mark Sampson and James Heydrich and Rick Parada, but nobody was talking. And so I suspected that there was something that had happened. But as best I can put together now, sometime around 1999, a guy named Joe Aldrich, Mark Sampson, and James Heydrich got together with Rick Parada. Matchless had just gone under in I think it was like 1999 or something like that. They had declared bankruptcy and closed down. And at that time, James and Mark and Joe wanted to continue in the amp business, and they brought Mark in. Mark did a lot of the designs. They created, initially, it was called Panther, but they found out that the name had been trademarked by another company. And so James came up with the idea of Bad Cat. And they were basically Mark's Mark being the founder of Matchless with Rick. They were Mark's updates on the current Matchless designs. For instance, the Black Cat was the updated DC30, what he called his improvements. And then the Cub was the update of the I don't know the Matchless line that well anymore, but it was like not the Spitfire, but Nick could probably help me with that. Lightning, the Matchless Lightning. The Cub was the update on that. And then over the years, it just sort of morphed and grew. They did really well, specializing in hand-wired boutique stuff, kind of like an offshoot of Matchless. Matchless came back into being, I think, sometime a couple years later. Mark ended up leaving in 2005. They continued to grow. They brought in a couple of different engineers and designers. They came out with things like the Tremcat and the Classic Deluxe. They won a lot of awards. And then sometime around 2010 or so, I got the green light from the wife to go buy a new amp, which was a rare thing back in the day.
Maybe she could talk to mine.
And so, yeah, and so, well, once you hear the story, she may not allow that.
Okay.
But so I went to the NAMM show, and I did the full gamut. I mean, I did the gauntlet, just one end to the other. I played everything, and I ended up falling in love with the Cub, the Black Cat Cub. I just thought it was amazing. And so then I went to go buy one, and nobody had them, and it was a long story. And finally, you're not going to believe this, but one day I was on Craigslist, and I was scouting for gear, as I usually do. Mm-hmm. And I saw Bad Cat spring cleaning sale.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, holy crap, this is my chance.
We can say crap.
Can you? Okay, good.
Yes.
Crap. Holy crap.
We just try to like stay away from the big bombs and all the British ones.
So I got in my car. I drove down. I found it. I ended up meeting James. I found out that he was considering selling the brand, and it was kind of in a rough state at that time. But it was my favorite. It was my favorite amp. I mean, it was my favorite amp brand. I mean, I was always a fan of that sort of matchless Bad Cat sound. And he said, what do I got to do to get a Cub? And he says, well, just give me your credit card. So I handed him my credit card. And, you know, the old stories in the amp business, in the boutique business, where you pay for something and then you sort of like spend the next 8 years of your life trying to get it. So I kept becoming a regular down there. And I was a bit of a tinkerer myself, collector of amps, and just an absolute junkie for gear. And he told me he was looking at selling it to a company called Hanser Musical Products, and I looked at that, and I sort of looked at their history and saw that they had owned B.C. Rich and Michael Kelly and Custom with a K, and it sort of occurred to me that their business model essentially was to take, you know, sort of great American brands that were, you know, going through difficult times, and turn them into sort of mass-produced, you know, kind of Chinese versions of the American products. In fact, they had already done that with something called the Cougar that they had designed in 2010 or 11. And I just thought that sucked. And so I went back to my super well-paying job, and I said to the owner of the company, you know, I think I'm going to try to buy this amp brand. And he said, well, if you believe in it that much, I'll do it with you.
Oh, my goodness.
So we over the course of, you know, dealing with James Heydrich was like nailing Jello to the wall. I mean, it was not easy. And so I spent the next 3 months in negotiations with him, and we ultimately outbid Hanser.
Wow.
And so we brought Bad Cat into the fold over at our company in Irvine, and then ran it for about 5 years. And then my partners, I won't use their names, but anyway, they were getting a divorce. And so this genius right here decided, well, I'm going to mortgage my house, and I'm going to buy this thing myself. And so I did that, and I was off in the wilderness for 5 years. You know, working and designing, and along came another financial partner, a friend of mine, bought into the company, and we have since then, about 5 years ago, I mean, just dove in with both feet, invested literally millions of dollars in engineering and design and manufacturing. And my goal is to, I mean, everybody says this, but my goal is actually to make Bad Cat the best amp brand in the world. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
I love it.
In every respect. And because I'm so passionate about this. And we are just hiring engineers and bringing in the best of the best. And we've got, I mean, I don't know when we're going to release this. I mean, Nick, you know, Nick and I need to talk about this, but we're going to be reintroducing a hand-wired series later in the year. And it's going to be a big story when you find out what's going on.
Wow.
And that's all I can say.
Okay.
But
That's a lot.
So I bought Bad Cat on Craigslist.
I love it.
If you're if your wife wants to talk to mine, I wouldn't advise it, but go ahead.
Were you looking for an amp on Craigslist and then you ended up with the company, or?
That is exactly what happened.
Wow.
I was trying to buy a Bad Cat, and I bought Bad Cat.
All of them.
I'll take
Yeah,
them all.
of them. Well, and if you ever start to think, hey, that John's pretty smart. Just remember that I paid full price for an amp, and I bought the company 3 months later.
Yeah. Yes, but who's laughing now?
You could have
John?
returned it, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to walk in. I would like my $2,300 back, please.
Wow. That's really cool. That's actually very inspiring. Not actually. I mean, that is very inspiring. I'm on Craigslist all the time. I haven't yet bought a company, but
the day is young.
yeah. Every break I get, I'm on it. It's a bit of an addictive thing, as you well know. So that's a pretty amazing success story right there. And my favorite thing that you said out of all of that was that your goal is to make it the best amp company in the world.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I don't know, warms the cockles of me soul. Now, you mentioned you've been pulling on all kinds of people. You've expanded the line greatly. We saw all kinds of great stuff at the show. Before we get into that, Nick, can you tell us how you got roped into this? Were you on Craigslist too?
Oh man. Well, I guess I have to be vulnerable here because young Nick Poppin was not the smartest, and I was just obsessed with guitar and gear from a very young age. And when I was a teenager, I got so obsessed to the point where I just wanted to get hands-on with anything and everything I could. And I got pretty hip to YouTube guys and gear demos and things like that. And so rather than do the right thing, I went around to all these companies and was like, hey, I'm this young guy and, I'm doing some session work at 16 years old, which is kind of cool. And playing for, small venues and stuff. Like, can I get this thing? And every single person told me no, because why would they just give me something? But I definitely cold called a million companies, just trying to get something, because where I lived, the closest music store to me was Sam Ash, and all they had was MXR and Dunlop.
Yeah.
And I didn't want the MXR and the Dunlop. I wanted to get the Keeley product, or I wanted to get this Earthquaker Devices thing. And my Sam Ash was all about drums. They had 1 million drums, but the guitar department was very small. And so I couldn't get anything. And so years later down the line, I'm at a NAMM show, and John and I connected. And he was, I used the term gear papa, because he just was the sweetest, kindest gentleman, and talked to me, gave me the time of day, and kind of saw himself in me at a very young age, saying hey, I was the same guy that he's you don't know this. But he's I snuck into the NAMM show because I wanted to be involved and get a part of all the gear.
Wow.
And the moment I could go to the NAMM show, I was all over everyone's butt, and all these people and dealer and, people that had the gear knew me from my, dumb emails and stuff. But man, years later now, it's just John and I have just kept that relationship, and he's been very kind to me and always kind of roped me in for certain things, or, hey, come check out this amp, or come listen to this thing. Cause I know he's Nick, I know how passionate you are. I know how much you love this. I know how much you love this business. And also you have a good ear for tone, Nick. So come check this thing out and tell me if it's any good. And, kind of after several years of doing that, things just finally lined up, both in my life and with, stuff I was doing in the music world, and kind of, earlier this year, it just kind of made sense for me to come on board and, work with all the artists, and kind of really working with people to put stuff in their hands and, create kind of like this, I call it the John complex. Like everyone who gets involved with Bad Cat, every single, like if Todd goes out and buys a Bad Cat tomorrow, I want to talk to Todd and be his best friend and let him know that I care about him. And that's the whole thing. And that's why I'm here.
I want to be Todd.
For everybody involved,
First, you had to talk to Todd's wife.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to send Todd to Craigslist. So now, and then I've always dabbled in photography and social media and that kind of stuff. And I've always been really passionate about it. And so now it just it made sense for me to kind of take over that and kind of use my time in the professional music industry, both in studios and touring and doing all the in-betweens, to now, being able to work with Bad Cat and promote it well on the internet.
Nice.
Wow, I'm gonna get a Kleenex. I got tearing up here in a second.
Is that the same story he told you, John?
No, it's total horseshit.
Just checking.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And Nick, yeah, you've been so kind to us when the last two shows that we were at. You spent great time with us, and to your credit, first when you were repping the Schnobel stuff, and then when we saw you at Bad Cat, it's like you were so enthusiastic about both of those things and made us feel very, very welcome. And that doesn't always happen, especially at NAMM. It's like, and it's not a slag on the people at NAMM, because when you're dealing with thousands of people, at a certain point you start having to get a little choosy with who you're going to spend your time with. So we appreciate that. And here we are.
I got a preference too. I never worked like for Schnobel or did any of that. Like Roman couldn't make the NAMM show happen, and he had asked me to help his booth. And then it just so happened that he literally wasn't going to be there. And I was like, well, I'll just do the booth for you, because I love you, and I'm passionate about what you do as well. So let's just make sure this happens for you and showcase your new stuff that, why should you have to miss out because of this thing,
Yeah. Yeah. That was a class act, and you did him justice there too. So as well as Bad Cat handling the riffraff that are circling around the
especially wearing
the eagle's nest.
Wearing guitar knob shirts.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
He keeps.
Let's talk about some of the hot stuff that was catching everybody's attention at the show.
Rubicon.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah. So what we did a year and a half, 2 years ago, was we thought let's build this foundation, because we had this 7-year plan, right? And the foundation of the company started with the 4 foundational lamps: the Cub, the Black Cat, the Hot Cat, and the Lynx. And so we thought we'd redesign those from scratch in the Player Series, which is the PCB version, right? And the idea was, okay, well, we'll offer the hand-wired stuff, we'll offer the PCB stuff. And what happened was the PCB stuff came out so freaking good that we thought, okay, crap, we got to redo the hand-wired amps now, because they literally sounded better than the hand-wired amps we were offering at the time. And so we sort of put those aside, launched the hand-wired stuff, the PCB stuff, and now we're in the process of redoing the hand-wired stuff, which will be launching very soon. But in the middle of all that, we came up with this idea for this little lunchbox amp called the Rubicon, which is kind of it answers a lot of people who tour with our stuff say, hey man, if you just made an amp that had that was smaller, I could throw in a road case or an amp, in a backpack, take on a plane. I could use it for a flight date. I could plug directly into a recording console. So we built the tune-up system into it, and it's just a little cool lunchbox that sounds good. It has 4 modes: clean, dirtier yet, and dirtiest. So 4 modes, and simple tone stack. It's kind of a sort of an amalgam of like the Hot Cat circuit and the sort of Cub clean circuit.
All foot switchable.
Yeah, all foot switchable. 2 nodes capture built inside of it. As you can download your own IRs onto it if you want to.
Yeah, it's a
It's
do
actually
everything
20 watt.
amp.
Yeah, little lunchbox, small, light, and then we had a line of pedals that we are launching as well. A particularly nasty fuzz, which I wanted to call the hairball, but nobody wanted to call it that, so that's a whole other thing.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. But so you back off the volume knob on it, and it goes from being like a fuzz tone to like just a real warm overdrive. And you back it off again, and it just sounds like an acoustic guitar. It's amazing how it cleans up. Then there's a Cub drive, a Lynx drive. We got a really cool 312 cabinet that we came up with. Sort of came about because there's a guy named Mark Ford who's a friend, and Mark always says to me, "Man, most favorite amp I ever played was a 310 Bandmaster." And I'm like, "Hey, thanks for the plug, buddy. Appreciate that." But there's something about putting 3 speakers in a cabinet with that sort of impedance mismatch works with the output, and it just makes I can't explain it because I'm not the engineer, but it makes an amazing sound. And so we built a cabinet, a 312 cabinet. We got a mini 112. This kind of a small, lightweight 112 that a lot of people have been asking us to do. It was a busy show. It was a lot of damn fun.
That's awesome.
Like Nick said, I used to sneak in that thing when I was 17 years old. And I would go there on Sunday and wait for people to throw away their badges and kind of walk in. And I've yet to become jaded in this business. It's still a lot of fun.
Now, let me ask you this: the lunchbox type vibe that you did with the Rubicon.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen a handful of builders starting to go down this path a little bit, and I actually started. I was reading somebody's blog, and they were talking. I can't remember what amp builder, but the amp builder is like, I can't. I'm an amp builder. I'm not a woodworker. I'm not a cabinet maker. And the amount of time and money and everything that goes into just making a cabinet at a head enclosure is like could possibly shut us down. I think that was the gist of it. How real is that for a builder?
Well, I mean, we've got an approach to that works for us. One of the things that I grew up kind of a product of a single mom, and so I didn't have a 59 Les Paul when I was 12. So I had to sort of like, I had a Honer piece of crap, and so I'm always cognizant of what things cost and trying to make them affordable. And so one of the things you can do as a company without changing the quality of the way you build things is buy things in enormous quantities. One of the things that I did first when I got to Bad Cat in 2011 was we had I don't know 6 chassis.
By large quantities, you mean by the entire company?
That too. Yeah.
This amp is going to be far cheaper if I just buy all of them.
I tend to overdo things. My wife doesn't even let me go to the grocery store anymore. I come in with like 14 bags of stuff. But that's sort of my thing.
Yeah.
But so the thing was I put everything in the same size chassis, so we could use the same size head shell. And then I came from the transformer business where I came from. And so we had universal transformer sets designed. And so now I'm stocking one set of transformers, one chassis, one size head shell. And so instead of buying, 25 chassis, I buy 1,000 at a time. Or in my case, sometimes 2,000 at a time. And so my cost, you'd be shocked at the price difference when between buying 25 and buying 2,000. So I'm willing to put a lot of money on the shelf my cost of goods goes down per unit. And so I'm able to, I know our amps are not cheap, but I know a lot of people that build amps to the same quality level that we do that are considerably more expensive. And I look, I take some of them apart and I look inside and I go, my God, there's nothing in here that we're not using. What are they charging another $1,500 for? And I think that's part of it. Is I think their costs are probably higher than mine because I buy so much product at the same time. And that's sort of one of the things we do.
When you said your amps aren't cheap, I just want to let everybody know who hasn't gone and checked these out yet. They're not cost prohibitive. It's not. Yeah. It's not. We're not talking crazy pants money. But you're getting what you pay for. So.
Yeah, for sure. Now the crazy pants money is coming later this year.
Get ready to buy your crazy pants.
Yeah, sell a couple of strats. You're going to need it. You're going to want this.
You're going to need to go down to 9s.
Maybe 8s.
I'll be an 8s by then.
I'm very curious about this, but we'll find out when that happens.
Sure. Oh yeah, they're going to be the hand-wired stuff is going to be astounding, absolutely astounding.
Awesome.
Enjoy it. I can't. I want to say it's so bad, but I can't. I'm just going to shut up.
Can't say it.
I'm going to shut up.
Yeah.
Well, save it for your next appearance on the Guitar Knobs.
Yeah.
We can make the announcement here.
I love it.
So you didn't. What is something maybe that people were expecting you to do with the company that you didn't? Is there anything around there? I feel like if you were to take on this company, there was probably people in your ear all over, like just telling you all the things that you're going to need to do.
I have stopped reading the gear page. I don't do that anymore. There's so much controversy about just the most minute details. Like, for instance, on the new amps that we launched a year ago, we decided to clean up the look, make it look a little more modern, and we removed the eyes from the logo. I mean, you would have, if you read some of the stuff online, you would have thought that I killed a puppy with a ball peen hammer.
No.
Where are the eyes?
Yeah, what have you done? What have you
You
done?
can't see anymore.
I can't get out of bed now.
Judas.
Yeah. So just for all you guys who want the eyes back, they are coming back with the hand wireds. So ready yourself.
There's a little tiny.
There's an announcement.
There you go.
There's a little announcement.
Yeah.
There's a nugget. The eyes are coming back.
Yes.
Things that they thought that I would do that I haven't done. Well, bankrupt it would be the first one I would imagine.
Yeah.
Most people would think I would do with it. I haven't done that. We're going to be expanding quite a bit. I mean, that I know people. They always have this thought that they want Bad Cat to be, 3 guys in a 1,000 square foot little concrete tilt up somewhere in the middle of the desert, building, 1 amp a day or something like that. But that doesn't put your kid through Cal Poly SLO, right? You got to sell a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the challenge is to, so how can I make 200 of these a month and have every single one of them be awesome? Because I always tell the people that work for us, like, the guy that's buying this, he's only buying this one you have in front of you right now. And he's going to be like, I don't know about you, but when I get new gear, the stuff that I'm really kind of stoked on, I'll get it home and I'll sit and I'll sort of like put it on the table and stare at it for 3 days before I even use it. This is something really cool.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm tracking definitely, especially if it's something special. When you pony up and you say I'm gonna make maybe a bigger commitment than I might normally do, and anytime you're buying a new amp, for the most part, you're gonna be doing that. And there's something cool about, like, I got a new thing. And then the second part of that is, as soon as you confirm how much you love that thing, you tell everybody about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I noticed that like maybe 7, 8 years ago, and I sold one amp into a small town in Idaho, and all of a sudden I shipped 6 of them into Idaho.
Wow.
It's like somebody played it, somebody heard it, and then they shared it. But I mean, the idea is like it's simple. It's like if there's one little thing that's off about it, like this is not this. One of the things that drives me crazy is when the guys put the chassis screws in, right? If they over tighten them, you can strip the chassis screw and make it sort of rough on the edge. Well, when it's like that, you pull that thing out and you throw it away, because when that thing arrives, it has to be perfect, because this is the only one the guy's going to see. It's going to be his, and you can't let that get out the door if it's anything but perfection.
So how do you how does the quality control come into play on that? I mean, aside from you making that demand.
Well, you have great people, and believe it or not, Bad Cat is absolutely stocked with gear junkies. And unfortunately, now I think I might be about the 8th best guitar player in the building, maybe 9th.
Just wait till you
John
go
is a very
wait till you go
humble
to
man,
8.
But John is a fantastic guitar player. John is very humble when he talks about that, but he turns the heads when he plays guitar, and he's too humble about it to say it. So I'll just say it to everybody.
Yeah, right. But I'll be sitting in my office and I'll hear Rain Song being played perfectly. I'm like, holy
Sparkles.
who's doing that? And I'll get up and go into the test room. Who's playing? Oh, Rob. Damn, Rob is smoking. I mean, he's an amazing player. But so these guys understand the concept of they save up and buy cool things, and they get an R9 and all this kind of stuff, and so they get the concept of we're selling things that people are precious about. They love them.
Yeah.
And so we have processes in place where the chassis get built, they get burned in, they get tested, burned in again. They get put in chassis, get play tested. And then the guys wrap them up. But when they wrap them up, there's a whole inspection procedure where they go through it top to bottom, make sure all the knobs are tight and straight. And, of course, there's some guy right now who's listening to this going,
Rainbows.
mine came and it had this on it. I'm sure he's going to be upset. But, you strive for perfection if you can. And, I don't know. I play them. I've got 3 of them at home right now. I've got 2 Cubs and a Black Cat. And
you're returning one of them, so
of course I am. Yes, that's right. It's going back. If my wife hears it, she goes, "Hell yes, he's taking that back. $2,300. Shit, yes. That's a dryer and a washer."
So, with your expansion now, is that just to handle the hand-wired stuff, or is it that you are just ready to go to that next level?
Well, I got really lucky, in a lot of ways. Mesa Boogie was bought by Gibson, and there were some tremendous people that were working with for Mesa Boogie for 15 and 18 years over in Europe. And they approached me about, wanting to rep our brand over in Europe. And of course, my crazy partner said, "Well, what would it cost us to just make them employees?" So we hired Matthew and Francesco, and we went from a half a dozen dealers in Europe to 45.
Wow.
In a very short period of time. And then we brought in John Bingham, and then John Bingham was a tremendous sales rep. He was with Boutique Amp, which is Friedman and Tone King and all these other companies, and he's done an amazing job, and we brought in Peter Ahrens as an engineer, and he did a great job redesigning the Player Series amps, and I mean I don't know, I've just been really lucky, and I've found really good people that did their jobs really well. And so these guys sold more, and then these guys were able to fix the manufacturing and build more. And, I got Maybell and Eric, and I just have an amazing crew of people that are very dedicated, very talented. And I just kind of come in and wave and say hi. Nick's getting there. Nick's getting there. The next time we're on, maybe he'll be in that group of people. But
Yeah.
no, Nick is great. No, Nick. The thing about Nick is that he's right. I was sitting in this group of people at this show, a NAMM show a few years ago, and they were saying, "Oh, did you get Nick's email?" Blah, 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 blah. And they're like ripping on this kid. I didn't know Nick, right? And I could. These are boutique builders that you would know if I told you their names.
Uh-huh.
And I was listening to this, and I'm going.
There was literally a Facebook group that was all the boutique builders, and I would get screenshots from friends of mine that were also a part of that, and they were like, "Hey, man, people are talking about you again. Like they're all saying they just got poppined."
They got popping, yeah. That's what they were saying. And I'm sitting in this group of guys, and I said, "You guys are a bunch of
puppies."
They're like, "What?" I said, "This guy is you and me. I mean, do you not have 35 drive pedals in your drawer at home? I mean, do you not have 14 guitars and wish you had 3 more? I mean, this guy is. I mean, otherwise people would just go down to Guitar Center and buy a Squire and I don't want to say another brand name, but something else.
Sure.
And he's this kid and his ear and his quest for what he's trying to do is the reason why we all have jobs in this business that we love so much. And you guys should be thanking this guy for being this passionate about this thing." And so that's kind of how I got to know Nick. Then he shows up in my booth a couple hours later. I go, "Oh my God, they're right. This guy is
unicorn."
Oh boy.
But no, I thought Nick is great, man. And so then Nick would contact me over the years, and he'd want to borrow an amp here or there, and I'd let him try stuff, and he just kind of grew on me. So I have Nick now, which I love.
Well done. And I think he's turned out to be a pretty solid ambassador for you guys out there, especially
absolutely
on the internets and junk, and handling the riffraff at the shows.
Yeah.
Yes, keeping people off me.
Yeah.
So I noticed, primarily your amps are EL84 and EL34s. In terms of speakers, what do you? I guess you use mostly Celestion style. What do you think pairs best with your amplifiers?
Well, it depends which one. We have a proprietary speaker that Celestion makes for us, which is it's nothing more than I'll break this here too if you want. The Bad Cat speaker is nothing more than a UK made V30 without the doping on the cone.
Ah.
And what it does is it makes it sound just more broken in and open. But that being said, I think I've opened up a little bit. I was real stoic about using the Bad Cat speaker for everything for the longest time. But I would think in the last year, the new Hot Cat I think just sounds better with the stock V30. The Black Cat sounds better with the Bad Cat speaker. The Cub sounds better with the Bad Cat speaker. The 112, the little miniature 112 cab that we made recently, we tried everything in that. And the G12H30 just stood way above everything else in that little cabinet. And it's just odd how different cabs, different amps will sound better with different speakers. And these days we just in the development phase, we just try everything, and what sounds best wins.
Yeah.
I've got 9 guitar players laying around that are playing these things, and if we can get a consensus, we roll with it. That being said, there is a new speaker that Celestion has that is really good. It's what is it, Nick? It's the Cream Alnico.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that thing is great.
Yeah, I'm a big
super
fan.
Articulate in the mid range.
Big fan of blues and golds, and yeah, I haven't tried the cream yet, but that has even higher power capacity.
Yeah,
right?
that's the high. Yeah.
I think it's just smoother than the gold.
Oh.
Yeah, and the bottom end is tighter than the blue.
Yeah, it's got like a more like a tighter bottom end, but it's like, I mean, all guitar is mid range, right? But it has like a really sweet spot to helping you define the mid range that's coming out of your amp specifically, or if it's just in a speaker cabinet on its own, it really tries to capture the essence really, really well.
Yeah, it's a great speaker.
Yeah, the other thing that we were just when we were talking earlier about the 312 cabinet, what do you have in there, and what's the actual impedance on that on that cabinet?
I think we have a 16 ohm speaker and combined with 2 wired and series. It's 8 ohm.
Oh, okay. So then that makes sense. I was wondering if it was going to be just some oddball like 12 or something like that. If you did 3 8 ohm speakers, it would be kind of an odd
2.6.
Yeah,
right.
Or 2.6.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, and so it is 8 ohms, and then the thing to also I think really important about the 312 specifically is like when people are like miking it up and things like that. The way that it's laid out inside the cab is that it's one on top of the other vertically, like a 412 would be, and then to the right and kind of in the middle, kind of making like a triangular shape on the left would be your additional speaker. So taking like 412 but moving the top one down halfway down, and so that's like the configuration of a 312 for us.
If I had to characterize it, it sounds a lot like a 412 that has a little more mid-range detail and a little less of the sort of low, woofy kind of heavy bottom.
I like this. A
little bit more like top-end presence helps you stand out in a mix really well.
Yeah, it punches real hard.
Nice. Punch. I like punch.
Punch.
Yes.
I like punch.
Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian punch?
Well, that's really intriguing. And look, you guys are offering something that is, well, I mean, there's not a lot of 3-speaker guitar cabs out there that, at least modern ones, aside from some weird old things that you see every once in a while. But
what's your name down in Nashville? Third Power.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good friend.
So, and all of this stuff, this USA made and built?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Everything except the Rubicon. The Rubicon's made overseas. Everything else is built in Costa Mesa, California, about 20 feet from where I'm at every day.
Yeah. I actually grew up in that area. I used to live in Costa Mesa and went to I worked down there and all that stuff. So, like, when I didn't realize that you guys were in Costa Mesa until I started talking with you, and I was like, oh, wait. So I looked up where you were in relation to my old house and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Went to Laguna Beach art school down there.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, but we're here in Ohio now. So, well, guys, it has been an absolute joy talking with you. I feel like I've got a much better handle on who Bad Cat is and why I would want this. Which now I do, so thanks a lot for that.
I know a guy that can hook you up.
But we are going to transition now to a delightful part of the show.
It is delightful.
It's less delightful than the delight we just had.
Well, that's true.
Yes, but let's delight on
It's
this.
less informative.
Yes, far less.
But much more fun.
This is Rob's favorite part of the show.
That's right, Todd, because at this point of the show is a little game we like to play called Would You Rather?
All right. Yes. Turn the Leslie off, please.
That would be the Doppler effect.
Yes.
This week's Would You Rather, we are dusting off our own time machine.
Oh, the
Our
time
own
machine one.
No more Professor Squeaky Bellows.
Good.
Because this time we're gonna set it back to 1983.
Oh,
Gonna head over to Austin, Texas,
okay.
to Antone's nightclub,
Okay.
and it just so happens that this night, 2 bands are sharing the bill at Antone's.
Does this involve a Stratocaster?
Well, in a way, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Because of this show, it's Stevie Ray Vaughan and ZZ Top.
Oh man!
Now,
Oh boy.
now you get. Here's where the fun part is, and where the would you rather comes into play, because both of these guitar legends see you out in the audience,
Yes.
and they say, "We got to get this guy on stage."
Of course, naturally.
He's a bigger legend than even us.
Yes.
So you have two opportunities. And a little while ago, we were talking about lightening up the string gauges.
Uh-huh.
Well, as most people know, Stevie Ray Vaughan, back in those days, played
16th.
No, well, sometimes
22.
13 to 56s.
Jeez.
Now, Billy Gibbons, on the other hand, from ZZ,
Yeah.
he played
Dental floss.
Fours.
Actually, well, for the sake of argument, we'll say they were the 7 through 38s.
Yeah.
I think there was a time when he.
That's how. What?
Well, the story behind that is he was, talking to B.B. King,
Yeah.
and at that time Billy was playing heavier strings, and
It's like playing spider webs.
and BB said, "You're working too hard." So
well, BB only plays one string, so I mean,
So your two opportunities, because Stevie had to head to the little boy's room, and you can play with Billy, but you have to play Stevie's guitar, or
Oh, God.
what? Wait. Oh, okay. I got it now. Okay, sorry. You lost me there for a second. I'm back.
yes, are you back?
I'm back.
Do you want me to repeat
Nope.
that? Okay, or
Or
would you rather? Billy has to,
right. Yeah.
and so you have to play his guitar.
Yeah. So tall
With
boys are adding up. He's got to make a run.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
So you've got your choice of playing with two legendary bands, either Stevie Ray Vaughan's 13 to 56 or Billy Gibbons' 7 to 38.
All right.
What's it gonna be, boy?
That's a good one. That's a really good one, Tony. Okay, let's start off with you.
Yes.
Then we're going to check in with John, and then Nick, and then Rob and myself.
Well, I mean, this is difficult for me because I can't. I have trouble with super light strings, and especially something going down to like a 7. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be.
Well, and the oil on your hands would just eat them away.
Well, that would actually make the strings thicker, so maybe I should go that.
That's true.
Yeah, I might just chew right through that 7. I think between the two. Wow, man. The 13 to 56 would be painful too. I mean, I learned to play on acoustic, so I think I'm going to do better with the heavier strings.
Okay. So you're playing with ZZ Top.
I'm going to play with ZZ Top with Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar.
Okay. Sounds
That's
good.
what I'm doing.
I'm going to switch this up and actually go to Rob. Rob.
I am going to play with Stevie Ray Vaughan using a
Billy Gibbons guitar.
Yeah.
All right. Now, which guitar is this, Billy Gibbons? He's got like
It's Les Paul.
1,000 of them. Is Les Paul?
The Holy Grail.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's fine. Yeah.
Pearly Gates.
It's the gauge. I
Pearly
mean,
Gates.
I'd like to believe I could play Stevie's Strat, but no way with
Yeah.
13. No, I mean I'd go for a bend and you just a little bit. Yeah. No.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Nick, how about yourself?
Oh man. See, I was pretty keen to say that I would choose to play. I would have gone with the Billy Gibbons guitar playing with Stevie, but if it's the Pearly Gates, I was kind of looking forward to if it was maybe like the Gretsch or one of his funky things.
Oh, the
but,
Billy Bow.
Yeah, the Billy Bow. But if it's not the Billy Bow, I'll probably go with Stevie's because playing a Dumble rig with the ZZ Top would be pretty special.
Good point.
That was a big groan from John. What are you thinking, John?
Well, I think playing Stevie's guitar would diminish my skills by probably 60%. I think Billy's guitar, I might I mean, being that I'm playing nines and down a half step, I might be right at home in that baby. But that being said, playing with Stevie Ray Vaughan would be somewhat embarrassing. I can't imagine I would shine in that situation. Of course, I don't know that I would shine on Stevie's guitar with just kind of a.
It's your best day ever of playing.
Yeah. Just for the Time Machine also has this ability to make you into the ultimate guitar player.
Oh yes,
even if it's just for a day.
I'm grabbing Billy's axe all day and playing with Stevie.
Yeah.
All right.
Toddley?
Well, now, some of you might have said, oh, I know exactly what he's going to do. He's definitely going to play Billy's guitar, because that's typically the type of guitar that I favor. I am known for my acute dislike of Stratocasters.
I might go so far as to call it a disdain.
The disdain for Stratocasters. However, in this one time, to just put it all to say, there, I've played one. I'm going to play the one with ZZ Top. Give me Stevie Strat, and I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Can you believe that?
That's surprising.
I think that's a first.
All right. That'll be the first and the last. That was a fun one, Tony. Thank you for doing that for us.
Not a
much
problem.
appreciated. We need to say thank you to a few people,
Yes,
and then
we
we're
do.
going to let our friends John and Nick go.
Okay, well, at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a hero, a patron of the podcast.
Yes.
I like the alliteration. Patron of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and the ability to possibly win some wonderful giveaways.
Yep. Got lots of them.
We got lots of them lined up. So get over there. Sign up. If you're on the fence, get off the fence. There's no parking there.
Nice.
Go.
In addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing more.
Get to have your name on the red thing. Go.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Jeez,
Todd's ready to go. Come
don't rush me, Todd. You're so geeked up after playing that Strat.
I know.
So special thanks to these executive producers: Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, James White, Motanda Guitars, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterle, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Barrazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Emmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, Trevor Ellenberg, Christopher Logan, and John Sebastian.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
But wait, there's more, because there's a special level of executive producers. We call them our grand poobahs. These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones.
Yes.
And they wear a fez on their head whilst listening to the podcast.
And at the same time.
That is correct. So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Casey Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jurusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Von Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, Matt Hart, Enrico Fernando, Moon Guitars, Adam Johnson, Eric Edwards, David Tyndall, and Anthony Gemolero.
Oh, wait.
What?
This just in.
Oh my goodness, we have a new Grand Poobah.
Yep.
Jimmy Newton.
Newton. Jimmy Newton. Welcome, Jimmy Newton.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much for choosing to support our show. You guys all make this happen, and we're so grateful for that. Please, if you are interested, jump in with the rest of them. Just go to patreon.com and take care of that. And we will be giving away a whole bunch more of these warm pedals and all kinds of stuff in the future. But for now, we need to say a colossal thank you to John and Nick of Bad Cat Amps. John, Nick, thank you so much for being on the show.
No, we very much appreciate you having
Thanks
us.
so much for having us, guys.
You guys are welcome anytime. So please don't hesitate to holler when you got something that you want to get out there and discuss. Where can people go and play or get these? You got dealers and you got what's going on?
Go ahead, Nick.
So you can check us out at badcatamps.com. That's BADCAT amps.com. We're on Instagram. We're on all the social medias. All of our dealers are listed on our dealer page on our website. It's all geo-tracked and everything. So if you're a guitar knob from the overseas or from South America or wherever you may or may not be, there's probably some Bad Cats near you. Otherwise, there's a slew of demos online and YouTube. And I've got a lot more stuff coming for all you guys real soon as far as social media goes. So you can check us out everywhere.
Very cool. Tony.
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the wares I have available for purchase. But what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need, what color you want, all the good stuff. And I'll take very good care of you.
Excellent. Rob.
Rob at Mad Cow Amplification on Instagram.
And robhateseverything.com.
Yeah, I don't hate everything. Todd's self-projecting.
Except for Bad Cat.
Of course. Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. You see what I'm doing, see what I'm tackling for the week.
Fantastic. And it is very enlightening and instructional and amusing. Yes. You can shoot me a DM at Guitar Knobs on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Tell us what you're into, what you're digging, what you don't like about the show, whatever. Send us a would you rather. Think you can beat Tony's? Probably. Send it to us.
Good luck. I double dog dare you.
We would love to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again to Bad Cat Amps. We hope you guys have a fantastic guitar week. And subscribe!
Yeah.
Camera on, because then we lose bandwidth. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Annoying as ever.
Yes, Todd. Shut the hell up. I can hear you.
Now, sometimes when people come in the room at the same time, it keeps one out.
You know? Just in real life, just like in real life.
Just like in real life.
Perfect.
Yeah, for the choose, I would kick Nick out for sure.
Great.
I mean, when you're ready for the hand wire stuff, by all means, get back in touch.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back on to talk about that a little bit. Or a lot.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to. Yeah, there's a couple of... Yeah, well, I'll tell you all about it soon. It's coming up.
Yeah.
You almost slipped up right there.
We almost got him to tell us.
I did. I want to say it so bad. Yeah. All right.
Whee!
Great.
Oh, man. Well, that was a harrowing experience. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.